Welcome to the Trend Detection Podcast, powered by Siemens. And now your host, Niall Sullivan.
Yeah, so I guess what you're both saying, it's how technology is applied, not the technology itself. The technology is one thing, but you've got to apply it in the correct way in order to achieve these, or help to achieve some of these goals.
And I think it comes back about what we're saying about just because we made the technology doesn't mean we have a responsibility for its uses. Like we do, and we can steward its use, and we can shape it for the benefit of all. While if we just focus on is this technically capable, then we actually lose a massive part of actually shaping it to be sustainable and equitable, and having a role in shaping it to be in its use.
Oh, absolutely. And I've mentioned it a couple of times about the 7% stat that's been mentioned a couple of times. I just wanted to bring it back to that because it is very interesting. It's one that I obviously picked up, I guess, from my research before as well. But 7% of engineering companies who have a sustainability strategy believe they have the skills to fulfill it. That's about 7%. It's amazing, isn't it? But why is that? I mean, what if we break that down? What's happening there?
I think one is that companies have been honest when I'm responding to that question. Yeah. I think that should be acknowledged because it's very easy to just say, yeah, we're fine. So I think that's one thing. I think one area is that there is in education, if we think about like how many people have come through education in the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years who now work in practice in engineering, how many of those actually had sustainability as a core part of their formation, about how they thought about engineering, about what they value, what they think is important. And I think in some cases it will have been there, but in the majority of cases it wasn't a core part. Often when we ask that question, we find like 70, 80% of people saying, listen, that was not a core part of what I was told engineering was all about at a core stage. So we're asking people to do something that wasn't part of their core education. So it requires quite a lot of upskilling. And for people to be open-minded to tackling this. So I think there's something there about the narrow education that existed in the past, and not including sustainability and not including like these kind of broader concepts within engineering and the role that we play. And also I think understanding the sustainability challenge as well is it requires, depending on what your sustainability strategy says, most of them have something around net zero. Some of them have something around like, how they're going to diversify their workforce because they understand that you can't just have a small fraction of society represented in those that are making decisions for others or capabilities. So they're kind of thinking about how do we creatively collaborate with different organizations that we maybe haven't worked with before. How do we really, if we're, doing a building development in San Francisco, how are we making sure there's a representation of that community feeding into this project? Because we know that that's important. So there's a lot of experimentation required to set these things as norms because they're not currently norms in engineering. So I think there's narrowing education. There's something around, pushing for new ways of doing things in order to be focused on making them more responsible. And I think also time is like it takes time to really build that. If you set a strategy, it normally needs a cultural change within your business to meet that strategy. That takes a bit of time. So actually, really investing in our ability to meet sustainability strategies is about investing in the people within our business. And sometimes that requires leadership to do so because you might not make an immediate profit tomorrow from doing that. So it's about, how do we recognize the need to invest in the people within our business? And, what are the supporting factors, obviously, of external bodies that support the engineering profession more broadly. But I think it is really important for companies to realize that often this requires investment. And it won't just naturally happen overnight. Like it is about, facilitating that to happen and putting true what you said you would do.
I mean, do you think organisations underestimate that when you say, time, resources, and putting in a strategy doesn't just change overnight because, the reasons you gave culture is. Do you think there's organisations underestimate that a little bit?
I don't know, because organizations are led by very, very capable people, and they understand and are trained often in how organizations trained and how to lead them, etc., etc. But I think recognizing that there is an upskilling need at board level, there's an upskilling need at senior management, middle management, technical leads, project managers, like sometimes clients. There's this upskilling need across the board. So like saying that everybody's on a maturity journey of some sort. And actually, yes, maybe people would be less ambitious with their sustainability strategies. They realize the scale of the challenge. But on the other hand, society needs ambitious sustainability strategies. So it's that, go bold and then go for it. Like that's what we need is that to occur. So, maybe there's a naivety there, maybe, but I think one of our roles as engineers at Borders is just to talk about that, to make clear that there is a skills gap and that we're sleepwalking into not having these skills. So like, what are we doing about it? So I think it's something we've got to do. We can't see this as optional. A sustainability strategy is not optional. It is absolutely fundamental when we understand the challenges that we're facing. So yeah, investing in that cultural change. And I think making that investment would be an investment in the future of the business as well. It's about, making sure that people can see the broader purpose of the business, that it gets more creative, that it gets more exciting. Like that's the kind of place I'd want to work, where they take these challenges seriously and they're acting and doing what they say. So I think there's a business case for meeting your sustainability strategy. But I think it will be challenging. But engineers deal with challenging stuff every day.
Yeah. So I guess what you're also saying is it's useful to think about it as sustainability, and improved sustainability is one goal, but there's these offshoots of benefits. If you want to drive it down to like revenue and things like that, but also because employees will no doubt be attracted to, or engineers, if we want to be attracted to organisations that have this strategy and are very focused on this strategy, and it's like a key pillar, and it filters all the way down through the organisation, etc. So that must be key as well. Staff retention, I guess, that's what I'm saying.
And also the staff and graduates that are coming through. So
yes.
The Students Organisation for Sustainability, their survey found that I think it was 60% plus would take a reduced salary if they felt that the organisation was aligned or actually pursuing more sustainability-driven objectives and cultures within their workplace. So there's a need for change in industry, and there's a demand coming through from the future engineers who will be working in those organisations.
Absolutely. I wanted to move the conversation on to your global responsibility competency compass. God, I've said that carefully. Let's get that. But maybe you could dive into that a bit more. It sounds really, really interesting. Way. I don't know who'd be the best person to describe that in a bit more detail. But.
I can do that.
Yeah.
So the Global Responsibility Competency Compass, like we've said that multiple times over the last 6 months, so it rolls off the tongue now. But it's a tool that
that's good.
It's a tool we officially launched in June of this year, which points practitioners towards the capabilities they will need to stay relevant in the sector and provides practical ways to develop themselves. So it's for anyone in the engineering sector who wants the skills to respond effectively to the complexity, uncertainty and challenge of our age. So we purposely position the compass to be not exclusively to engineers. It's for anyone working in the engineering sector, recognizing that multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, collaborative and interpersonal need and also space that engineers will be working in. So a little bit of background. In 2020, we collaborated with a group of engineers at Borders organisations to advocate for changes to the International Engineering Framework for Graduate Attributes and Professional Competencies. So through that open letter, we highlighted that to address this century's complex problems, engineers need to be able to adopt some of that critical reflection pieces on the role of engineering itself, and bringing in and respecting and valuing some of the more diverse and knowledge, skills and mindsets, including social sciences as well, and like expanding on that piece. So to learn about what's important, but perhaps more significantly to commit to making a difference to the way that what society needs now and for generations to come. So through this process and through our research interests at Birds UK as well, we sought to kind of translate a lot of that research and advocacy and the needs of society into this compass that helps build out the capability within our profession to drive global responsible practices. So this global responsibility competency compass is presented as an articulation of the essential skills, knowledge, and mindsets required to embed global responsibility. And it sets out 12 competencies which are organised around our four guiding principles. So that's responsible, purposeful, inclusive, and regenerative, and points practitioners towards the capabilities they need to stay relevant and provides practical ways as well to develop themselves. So it helps individuals, teams, and organisations navigate professional growth so that they can deliver the most positive impact. And practically, it helps you step back and reflect on your own strengths as a practitioner and those of your team, as well as the gaps that might exist within the team, recognizing that not everyone can have the time or the capabilities to provide something entirely around this compass. Like, lots of different people have different strengths, different values, different experiences. And how do you bring together a kind of globally responsible team to enable that sustainable and equitable outcomes? So it's not framed as a competency framework, but as a guide to those working in engineering. It's not intended to replace existing competency frameworks. So that's one of the things that we did in our research, is understand what the landscape looks already. But where this compass kind of sits is to overlay them with the competencies of global responsibility to help understand the kind of broader aspect of competency and professional development. So as well, through that process, before we launched in June, the Engineering Council, who set the UK standard professional engineering competence and commitment, which is UK Spec, they've also endorsed the Global Responsibility Competency Compass as a useful resource that complements the requirements of UK Spec to help bring to life and articulate the skills and actions needed of everyday professionals. So we're already delighted to see that it's already being in use by some practitioners, and it is downloadable for free on our website, as well as action plans for individuals and teams, and learning resources to help people get started on our website.
That sounds great. And I was going to say, it's a self-guided tool? It doesn't require, say, someone to, not guide someone through it. They can just take it away and start putting it, using the tool themselves independently.
Exactly. So it's self-led. I know what it's like to work in a busy job with a busy life in engineering, and you're wanting to learn and keep up with the latest research and the latest information and find the best training to spend your valuable time. So it is about we thought carefully about how to design it, and felt that actually giving individuals the freedom to do it when it works for them, to choose the format of learning for how they like to learn. Like for me, I like to be in a course that's facilitated. Like colleagues of mine, they'd rather, dive in and learn it themselves and act and do it at their own pace. So there's a range of different options on the learning library associated with the campus. And it's really to try and empower our professionals who are busy, doing important jobs, to be able to develop themselves in this space and not see it as overwhelming and, oh God, I'd have to do a master's in order to be involved in this work, or I'd have to change my job, or I'd have to move into a different industry. Is actually just to say, hey, there is complexity in this, but here's a guide that's been curated for you to help you navigate and upskill yourselves. Because I think JT's mentioned, the will is there. People can see that this is important, but it's about, designing tools that really work for individuals who have lives and jobs and they're trying to kind of move things along as well. So that's one of the reasons why it's self-led, and as it develops, as it grows, as people use it and we start to hear those cases and explore what that means, we might move towards also having an offering directly for companies and their training. But this is the starter of this tool and where it can go. So we just really encourage people to download it, get in touch with us about how they're planning to use it, get involved, develop a learning plan, or even just say, listen, I'm going to take on that course and go and explore and start to develop myself and set a regular practice where, at a certain point every 2 weeks, I'm going to give this the time because I know it's important for my future. So yeah, and then obviously don't be a stranger, get in touch with us. We're really interested in how people are using it, but you can download it from our website at www.ewb-uk.org, and it's there for free.
That's brilliant. And actually, you almost took the next question out of my mouth, because I was going to ask, because I guess we're coming to a close, but it's been a really fantastic conversation. I felt like we've covered a lot, really great areas. But I guess that is the big question. Well, there's going to be two things first. So maybe the first thing is, like, to end on sort of a summary, let's say, from both of you. Just and let's end on sort of a positive about what the positive things people can do today to begin their sort of journey towards meeting these sustainability goals. And because like you said, it can be overwhelming. I think you used that term earlier, Emma, overwhelming, because there's so much information, both professionally and personally. It's everywhere, and maybe rightly so, because it's a very important topic. But where should organisations start, or engineers start, if they want to get started on this journey?
So I think a good place is to download the compass at www.ewb-uk.org. But also, if you're at the start of your journey, if you're somewhere along your journey, if you have been interested in this for ages but not able to give it the time and attention, is one of the benefits of getting involved with Engineers Without Borders UK is there's other people like you. There's it's almost like an efficiency argument. Come together, because you can learn faster in groups and in the way that we curate learning experiences, but also in the way that we're also working in a range of different ways. So I think it makes smart sense in terms of, there's flexible opportunities depending on how much time you have, depending on how much you want to be focusing on this. You've got a lot of choice and agency in this. But practically, subscribe to our newsletter and get involved with upcoming opportunities. And I think one of the things for kind of like a positive note for me would be that things can change quite remarkably over years and decades. Like, for me, I've been able to get married to the person I love, which wasn't legal, when I grew up. That societal change around gay rights in the UK has made my life so much better than it would have been 20 years ago. And actually, I think there's something about positive change can happen, even if it doesn't feel like it today when you're reading the newspaper and you're thinking about the situation. It's actually, the trajectory we're on. I fundamentally believe, because I've met enough people in engineering, I understand what motivates them. I can see that more and more attention is being put on this topic. I'm really excited about how this could move towards making our profession more creative, towards making it more purposeful, more useful, and I think more exciting. Sometimes I think that, people end up in a career where they're like, oh, this isn't that exciting. I think this could add the spark and energy within our day-to-day. So I think that's what motivates me. That's where I think I should spend my energy and time is in this space, because I'm really excited in what could engineering be in 10 years' time or 5 years' time. That brings me a lot of hope. And it gets me excited about being an engineer again. So that's a bit for me. And get in touch, and we hope to see as many people as possible involved in our upcoming opportunities. JT.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to beat that. I think as for me, we've talked quite a lot about upskill, but don't underestimate the power about in being inspired. And if you're struggling to look out where to begin and look for something that inspires you, maybe it's something that we've talked about to kind of learn more a bit about that might help direct and where you want to upskill or reskill. So for my background, as I got into engineering because my uncle, there's nothing against architects, absolutely love and adore architects. I work with fantastic ones. But he told me not to be an architect because he was sick of designing Tesco's. So I think that was more of a reflection on his career at that time. But I got into engineering because of that. But then I kind of got disheartened because I was seeing this kind of separation between what was being taught in my education and what I enjoyed doing in terms of the relationship between engineering's impact on society. So as a personal anecdote, I'm one of the students who participated in the Engineering People Design Challenge in 2014. And for me, it was a critical turning point in my education that really put the context engineering has and the relationship it has with people and planet, and inspired me to start to explore more in my engineering education where I could draw on global responsibility and how I could use my engineering skills in that context, which has helped shape my career trajectory today. So yeah, don't underestimate the power of being inspired by something. So we've talked a lot about upskilling as well, and a lot about the emerging generation and graduates coming through, but also for those who are currently in practice, there's a real message of reskilling as neat as well as like the real value that and the role that current practitioners have in shaping and tackling the kind of challenges today. It's not something that we're going to wait for the next generation of engineers coming. It's for the people who are already in the sector now. So yeah, this is for upskilling, it's for reskilling, and by that combination of inspiring and upskilling, we can drive change within the sector to kind of move forward and bring in more of these global responsibility practices and ideas and concepts and towards sustainable and equitable design. And we've seen the kind of culture shift with health and safety. We can see it again with global responsibility. We're already starting to see some of those practices come in. So yeah, that would be my kind of message, is around inspiration, being inspired. Like, we see a lot of kind of doom and gloom on the news today, but there's a real powerful message coming through in terms of engineers' role actually having a strength in tackling what's coming down the line, both in shaping society for the future and tackling that uncertainty and complexity, but also having that role in shaping society for more positive impact as well.
That's great, and it's good to end on a positive note. So I think there's a lot of, let's say, hope for the future and lots of positivity to end on. So that's great. So we've come to the end. Well, first of all, thank you both for such an interesting conversation. I've learned a lot, let alone any other people who'll be listening to this at a later date. What we'll do is, there's a number of different resources and things that were mentioned. So I think if you guys could share links to those with me, we'll put them in the show notes as well for people interested in finding out more about that. But yeah, besides that, I think thank you both for a very interesting conversation. And yeah, I'd encourage anyone to find out more. What was the web address again, Emma? One more time.
Thanks, Mal. It's www.ewb-uk.org.
That's great. There you go, people. But yeah, it'll be in the show notes as well. But yes, thank you both, Jonathan and Emma, for your contributions today. And for the listeners, we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And we're out. Was that okay? Thought it went quite well.
Yeah, I think so. Bit different to what's usually on the predictive maintenance podcast. It'd be good. It'd be good to see how people get on and what they respond to it and what they think. It'd be really interesting.
But I think that's actually a good thing. I know there's two sides of the coin. It's, do you focus on predictive maintenance and IoT and technology all the time, or do you throw something in there sometimes that's is related but not directly involved? And I feel like I haven't done that for a while on the podcast. So I think and it's a very important topic. That's what sort of drew me to it when I sort of saw the LinkedIn post, and then looked obviously on the website and things like that. It sort of piqued my curiosity a bit more. So yeah, thank you again, both of you. It was a really good chat. So the next stage will be to obviously do some editing. I think I mentioned to you before, Emma, but for your benefit, Jonathan, so we usually do a full video that goes on the Siemens YouTube channel. I think for the length of this podcast, it'll probably be a 3 or 4 parter. We ought to split over one released every week. And what I can also do, if you want, you can either obviously feel free to share those links on whatever social networks you want, or I can even provide the files to you if you want to use the file, upload it to your YouTube channel yourself, or that kind of thing, or podcast channels if you got it. But so that's another option as well too. So I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, I imagine that'd be great, because we have like an event space on our website. So it's useful just to have if somebody did want to listen in through us, have that opportunity. So I really appreciate that, Niall, if that's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually the other thing is you can publish at your own schedule. So we might publish those weekly, but if you want to publish the whole thing and promote it it doesn't matter to me in that respect. But yeah, so we'll definitely do that. I'll share those files with you. Was there any, in terms of a timeline? I haven't got a fixed timeline at the moment for releasing it, but yeah, I'll get back to you in the next week or two about that, I guess. Is there anything else that I've forgotten? Oh, yeah. So if you could share those links, a few of those, I have to remember the links with some of the things we talked about, but the compass, obviously the website link, and yeah, there's a few other things. I think there's a report you mentioned, Jonathan, as well.
Yeah, there was a report. Actually, that was maybe a message I should have said at the very end, maybe related to that report. It's a too late one for one final where to get started.
I was in where to find it. I mean, we'll put the link in the...
As in, like, one final message for the listeners going out. Is it too late to record one more bit?
No, let's give it a go. Why not? Cool. I can give it a go. So we'll let the space is yours.
Yeah, you kind of reminded me about something about the report, just in terms of like one of the practical barriers that came out. So I think in addition to being inspired, one of the things we kind of explored with the practical barriers that engineering practitioners face is feeling like they do it all by themselves, and like engineering as a profession is like can be seen as quite siloed, both as a sector in that interdisciplinary space, but then also as individuals as well, not feeling like they have the ability, capability, or agency to actually make any impact. So what I would say in counter to that is you're not alone in this. Start exploring in your organization, start exploring outside. Our Engineers Out Borders UK network is a good place to try and find some people to get started on your global responsibility journey. Like, you're not alone in this space, no matter how siloed you feel, both in dealing with certain problems in your organization. Start exploring who you can maybe start having those conversations with about how to bring in global responsibility into your day-to-day practice. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Please like and subscribe on all major podcast channels and find out more about Senseye Predictive Maintenance at Siemens.com.